Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm Willie Summer III, founder of RightTouch Solutions, and welcome back or welcome in to the RightTouch Rundown. This is your weekly dose of operational strategy and nonprofit clarity. Our purpose is to build something that lasts. So we're kicking off a new four-part mini-series focused on the biggest causes of organizational friction. And it's not what you think it is. Well, maybe. Most organizations don't fall apart because of bad missions or bad governance. They fall apart because inside of that mission, there is confusion, there's misalignment, or there are people working in silos. So, over the next four episodes, we're going to unpack that communicational breakdown that quietly stalls your progress, and more importantly, how to fix it. I'll never leave you hanging. So we're going to talk about how to build healthy internal communication culture, why documentation is your secret weapon, how to clearly define your board staff and roles separately, because they're not both the same. And even if you haven't worked in the same function during those set times, they're board members or staff. And how to build a board culture of follow through that actually works. Because if people are not on the same page, your organizational mission will not move. So let's be real. Nonprofits, again, do not struggle for lack of passion. Passion is what drove you to create this board, to create this organization, to do all the great work you're already doing. The passion is there. That is not lacking. That struggle and stickiness or friction, if you will, is because people get confused or misaligned or altogether completely in the dark. And I can promise you about eight times out of 10, it's a communication problem. Internal communication isn't just busy work, it's strategy. It's how you keep the board aligned, the team engaged, the mission moving forward, the sponsors aware. When communication breaks down, task gets dropped. You hear things like, oh, I thought they were doing that. Oh, I thought Robert was handling that. Well, my role was fundraising. I didn't know that included sending a sponsor report. I thought it was just fundraising. These miscommunications lead to missed execution. Clarity will prevent that. You also have people frustrated because the work isn't getting done. You're thinking, as a leader, why aren't they taking initiative? But when you step back, as I ask all leaders to do, sometimes you got to step back and look. You step back and realize you never actually communicated the full expectations. Nobody lives in your head. Just because you may be a visionary thinker, you may have people who are task-oriented. So you thought you were clear, but you didn't make sure that message landed, and that plane is still circling and the gas is running out. So you're not just frustrated, you realize you were the bottleneck. Yes. In these sessions, we don't just talk about everybody else. I'm talking about you. And lastly, silos get to forming. In a nonprofit or small businesses, heck, and even organizations, silos happens when departments or individuals operate in isolation. You ever been in an organization like, oh, yeah, that group does that. When I was in finance, everybody in FSO, this their own thing. They do whatever they want to do. When I was in HR, benefits, you couldn't tell them nothing because they operate their own way for years. So they don't share that information. They duplicate a lot of efforts that y'all could have just worked together on. And then nobody has the full picture. Example, let's make one up real quick. The development team is running a donor campaign, but the program team doesn't even know it's happening. So now all your donors are getting conflicted message, double messages, and your credibility has taken a major hit. Imagine the strength of your organization when communication is strong, it's tight, it's together, where everyone knows what's happening, where they fit, and how they can contribute together. There are 3 practical shifts you can make to help this along. Establish a communication rhythm. Don't leave communication to chance. Build a beat of your team that they can rely on, that steady beat. I like to watch rowing on the Olympics, and that's that beat that keeps them moving, keeps them going, keeps them moving, keeps them going. Build that beat within the team. Try weekly check-ins. These do not have to be super formal, along with an agenda, just consistent. Personally, I check in with my direct reports and my direct teams once a month. But for a fast-moving org, a weekly rhythm helps keep that energy, helps updates happen before the big meetings, and keeps expectations aligned. The reason I like once a month, because my organizations are doing a lot of things. So I want to make sure we're all moving in the right direction and moving along with the culture. Because if you take your eyes off of it too long, things get all willy-nilly. And we don't want people putting their own razzle-dazzle when it's not necessary. Regular board updates. As your organization grows, monthly updates may not be enough. It doesn't always have to be a full meeting. It could be a quick written report or a text message or a group meet that just does a 15-minute pulse check. What matters is that your board, your staff, your volunteers are aware of what's going on and feel like they have a space to contribute and give feedback regularly. Again, it's that beat. It keeps going because they can do it all the time. I know I can do this. Quarterly strategy reviews. These are your deep dives. This is where you block out time to zoom in and address those pain points and then surface some growth development ideas. This is where all those check-ins and updates accumulate into a bigger conversation. The sticky ones, of course, you got to have those sticky conversations that actually move you forward. So that's when you really get into the weeds. I know I do biannually, and it's all day, about 4 or 5 hours where we're in there and we're getting into it. We're having interactive conversations. We're hitting the whiteboard. We're talking about why we did certain things, and then we're going across the table seeing how we can help one another. Secondly, you can use tools, not crutches. Now, this works all over the place because technology drives us. Everybody knows I love technology. My house is very smart. I love smart technology. But when you come into an organization, you don't want to just do the newest and coolest tool. It doesn't mean it's for you. Just because they have a new tool out, a new CRM system, a new donor relationship system, a new mass marketing system, it may not be for you. And it's cool. I've been a part of way too many organizations, both in the nonprofit sector and the corporate sector, that switched over communication platforms because it looked better. Everybody else is doing it, only to end up with everybody just lost in the sauce, not knowing what's going on. If your current system works and your team is communicating clearly and regularly on that beat, go focus on something else and leave this alone for now. I love growth, but right now, don't worry about that. If the thing is moving right, leave it be and go focus on something else. I promise you, it's something else to be getting done. I know people love the Slack or Google Drive, project boards, or Asana, Power BI, Excel. They all help. But remember that your culture is key. The best tool is the one your team actually uses. Don't have a group me and a Slack and a text chain and then wonder why you're not getting that engagement when everybody we like using group me. We don't know why you changed. So we just stopped using anything altogether. Don't over-engineer clarity. It's an oxymoron. Anchor your tools around your culture, not the other way around. If your culture likes passing notes and y'all pass notes all day, keep passing notes. Not really. It's a digital world. Please move forward. Make sure your tools are supported intentional conversations, not just random ones. Now, yes, I do believe in having a medium for random conversations. Part of a board. I'm part of an organization where I saw in the group me, they were talking about pens and different types of pens. And somebody talking about how they wanted to take the bank pen, but it had a chain on it. And it became this whole thing that was very funny. And it's good to have that levity. So yes, have some time for some informal and just fun communication, but make sure it's intentional. Because you can't have intentional fun spaces. This space is just for this. This space is to promote your business. This space is for board meetings. But it has to have that consistency, that clarity, and that regular cadence that people know where it is. So not just noise. Third, we want to bridge that board to staff gap, that divide. This is, again, to you leaders. I'm talking directly to you. Don't look around. I'm talking to you. Stop taking on everything yourself. And this is not just talking to executive directors, CEOs, partners, organizational founders. I'm talking to board members. I'm talking to community chairs, directors, and even long-standing volunteers. When you do not share proper context or leverage tasks, you unintentionally create informal groups or silos by holding information, making decisions in small circles, or working on pet projects without looping in staff, volunteers, other board members, the executive director. That is where misalignment begins. I'm going to put on my professor hat real quick. So I'm going to clarify informal groups. Informal groups will arise naturally. That's a Willis Public guarantee. They arise from friendships, long-standing co-workers, longevity, tenure, or unspoken influence in dynamics. They are not listed on your organizational chart, but they absolutely shape how work gets done in every organization, no matter what it is. And they're not necessarily bad. Don't hear me saying that. In fact, informal groups often act as interdependent systems. They share ideas, they solve problems, they build momentum, they build community, they give people a space to think outside of being in front of an ED. It just makes them have another place. The problem that I see in that what does occur is when informal groups influence the informal groups influence grows stronger and overpowers the formal structure, the formal direction, the formal decisions, the context and authority become blurred. And sometimes even resentment can seep in. When I see organizations stall, it is because people were following influence, not infrastructure. So for my churchgoers, it's when you follow the pastor, when he don't show up, the assistant pastor show up, you ain't showing up. Are you used to Sister Evans handling scholarship and she ain't there no more? I don't want no parts of it because we had a thing going. Or you're part of an organization that you joined because of a good friend of yours. You like the organization, but you really like this board member. And if this board member gone, I ain't gonna be no parts of it. If only this board member can tell me I can do something, otherwise I'm not volunteering for anything. That organization won't grow. We need that influence. We need that infrastructure. But tie yourself to the organization, not the influence. When everyone is moving in multiple directions at once, because the board assumed the staff knew, the staff assumed the board knew, the board thought the other person, the other part of the board was knowing about it, and at the end of the day, nobody knew what was going on. Those are unintentional silos that we don't want to happen. So this is why it's important, it is very important to share the why. Everybody knows I believe in the word why. Don't just delegate, give context. Let people know why we're doing it. What's the impact? What's my part? How is my part really doing something? Let people understand the purpose behind the work you're asking them to do. Even if that purpose is for Vision 2030, let them know it's all right. Connect the roles and responsibilities. Be clear about who's doing what. Be intentional about assigning projects across the teams, making sure teams are talking to each other. That is the easiest way to promote cross-collaboration, break down silos, and build ownership. Just because, as we said before, you're in fundraising doesn't mean you shouldn't be working with corporate relations who talks to the sponsors to understand how to get that money in. Just because you're in community service, you're not talking to membership. They can help you bring people in. Or just because you're in HR doesn't mean you don't need help from those in legal or real estate. Those give you different insights because they're on the ground for that piece that may help what you're doing. Lastly, we want to close that loop. Close it up. Whether you're a board chair, team leader, committee director, follow up with your people. After a project's done or a campaign ends, share the impact. After you have a big sale, bring in your team and tell them this is what happened with the sale. This is how this sale worked compared to last year. I'm a huge fan of comparison. Give me a good year over year. As a data scientist, I love it. Share that impact. What worked? What didn't? When people understand the wins and lessons, not losses, wins and lessons, alignment becomes part of your culture. They'll already know. Well, I may not know now, but I know they're going to tell me. Or they'll know that I may not know what's going on, but I can go ask Bob. I can go ask Willie because he will tell me, because we have that as part of the organizational culture. Not just an email line that we sent out. I know for a fact I don't understand what's going on. I can walk up and ask Donovan, what is this? I really don't understand why we're doing this. Can you help me explain it? And they'll definitely tell you. Bottom line in it, when formal and informal dynamics aren't aligned, confusion reigns supreme. And people stop trusting the process, the department, the management, the leadership, and overall the organization. That's when people start looking for them exit signs. You don't want them looking for the exit signs, especially if they're good people. Keep the good people in there by letting them have that trust and open it up. But when they're integrated with that clarity and that trust, you get powerfully unified momentum. You get those good parts of informal groups where they are moving things forward, but they also are communicating backwards so that you know what's going on. You're excited to come in and say, oh, I didn't even know this was a good thing. I said, why did you put those t-shirts like that? Oh, we've noticed that if we put these up here, the customers draw themselves over here where we want them to be. Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you. So that was an informal group making great plans toward the formal group with communicational structure. Whether you lead them from the front, the boardroom, behind the scenes, keep them in the loop, keep them active, keep that momentum, keep that beat, or you will risk hanging out alone at the boardroom. You will be alone in your CEO office. You will be alone in your storefront wondering what happened. So, quick final thoughts. If your team feels stuck, frustrated, or out of sync, start with wondering, how am I communicating internally? Make that one of your first thoughts. What did I last say? What am I doing? Because internal communication is the infrastructure behind every successful organization. There is no organization that doesn't talk to each other within interdepartmentals, within inside of the groups, within inside of the leadership that's moving in a great trajectory. Do not treat communication like a side piece. Nurture it, adopt it, refine it, and most importantly, treat it like the ultimate strategy it is, because that is where your growth lies. Now, before we head out, I would love to hear from you. Have you seen informal groups anywhere you've worked, in the corporate, nonprofit, grassroots, political, that overpower formal structures? Talk about it in them comments. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you coming in to see RightTouch Rundown and hang out with me for a little bit. If this has helped you or your organization, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who is building something that matters. As I always say, don't gatekeep. And if you want help updating or reviewing your communication standards, systems, org charts, internal processes, you already know where to go, RightTouchSolutions.com. And remember, mission moves best with strategy. I'm always excited to see you all. Looking forward to talking to you at the next episode. Have a great day and be blessed.